It's early morning, so it's pretty dark, and you can hardly see me here. Something came to me just now. I don't know if this is accurate or not. I don't know. I watched the Arizona speech with Trump, and I listened to it, and I said, as a conservative, I don't know what Trump thinks or doesn't think. And then I start to think about as a liberal, how a liberal would think. And I don't know how people think, but some like when he said they were excluding white people from the COVID test, and he was talking about something from people from across the border and the ones that were bringing people, the bad people and stuff. I started thinking that sounds to the point of view of some people like he's promoting white people and he's against black people and Mexicans because that's a feeling. Because he's using the word white and he's complaining because white people aren't doing this. And what he's supposed to be doing is considering the feelings of black people and Hispanics. And maybe they felt the same way, or how does that sound, and the feelings and everything around it. And it's being insensitive, and he must be promoting one group over another. And that's common in our culture. That's very common. People these days think that way. And it's probably, pop culture and Hollywood and the news and everything. That's how liberals think. And in some extent, I think that way. Most people I know think that way because we all have feelings and we all have logic. But then I thought about it. Why do liberals think that way? Well, I won't say liberals and conservatives. I'm saying some people in general. Because that's how they feel. And why they feel that way? Because they're preoccupied with race. Because they look at people through the prism of race. And they look at people as groups. And they try to always think about, well, how does this affect another person? How does another person feel? How does another person of another color feel? Because they divide people by their color. And to a conservative, and I don't know Trump, I've talked to people I know, but I've listened to Candace Owens and other people and other conservatives. I guess you could say more typical conservatives. And to me, they don't think like that. They're upset because why are you bringing race into it to begin with? Why are you saying exclude white people? Why are you saying exclude anybody? Why are you even using race as a reason? And I don't think it's so much as a true conservative that, oh, you're hurting white people because we're better than black people, but oh, it's okay if you did it to black people or Hispanics, and oh, I guess now we're paying for what people did to them, and that must be how they feel and all that. I don't think conservatives think that way. I think they're thinking that it's unconstitutional, it's unpatriotic, it's un-American. You shouldn't be bringing race into anything, regardless of if it's white or black or how it affects anybody. We're mad because why are you even talking about race? Like, who cares? We look at people as individuals, like that's a person with a name who's made in the image of God, who's an American citizen. Why do they have to answer questions? Why do they have to go through racial quotas? Why do they have to have, why do they have to be lumped into groups? And it's not about feelings, and it's not about taking the consideration of other people of other colors into feelings, because we don't look at people as colors. We don't think black people think a certain way and white people think a certain way. We think that people are people, and why are you even bringing color into it? It's like the whole thing with the Mexican immigrants and other immigrants. And we don't, like, a lot of times Trump, the way he talks, he doesn't qualify and quantify everything. He doesn't say, well, not all Mexicans are bad people, because we don't think in terms of the reason of not wanting illegal immigration is because, oh, they're Mexicans and they're brown and they're dirty people and they're ugly or they're stupid or whatever people might think. If you listen to liberals, they're always name calling and of course, like I said, I don't want to divide people by liberal and conservative, but it's just like there's two different ways of thinking. And again, I don't know. There are people that are racist, but racism implies that you're going around obsessing about race, thinking that you're superior, thinking about how it affects other people based on their race and how do other colors feel compared to how our color feels. And what I'm telling you is true conservatives don't think about color one way or another. We're mad because the government has no business doing that, because we're individuals, because it makes no sense to divide people into groups because it makes us weak and it's irrelevant. And to a liberal, that makes no sense because everything they think about and everything they feel about is based on race and groups and identity politics. Okay, and so it seems insensitive for a conservative to say something like that because it's not taking into account, well, black people had to go through that. How you think they feel? And why are you talking about white people? Because when you talk about white people, it must mean white supremacy. See, he's always talking about white people, and then he's putting black people here or Mexicans here or something because they're obsessed with race and they're thinking about people as a color, as if the color of their skin has anything to do with anything. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying this applies to everybody, but the more I listen to conservatives, as even though I am one, I wasn't always one, and I'm not around too many. But I live in the Northeast. But the more I listen to conservatives, a lot of people don't walk around thinking about what people look like, the color of somebody's skin, what gender they are, or any such thing. The reason they don't want all these illegal immigrants coming over the border has to do with the economy. It has to do with the large increase of crime because they do send people here. It wouldn't matter if they were as white as snow. If you're sending people here that are committing crimes, and it doesn't matter if it's a small percentage, we don't have to qualify. Well, not all of them do that because to us, that's common sense. We're not talking about the people that aren't doing it. We're talking about the ones that are committing crimes because we're talking about the crime. We're not talking about the color. Nobody cares about the color. What the heck does that have to do with anything? If somebody's raping somebody or beating somebody or bringing drugs over here, okay, or if you're dividing somebody and have to go through a litmus test of whether you can get a COVID vaccine or not, and they were excluding older people mostly in favor of younger people just because of their certain colors. So you're a certain color, so you get a vaccine, and you're a certain color and you don't. And to us, it's not because, oh, we're superior and you're inferior. It's just because you're not supposed to do that. Okay, you're not supposed to sell drugs. You're not supposed to rape. You're not supposed to divide people into groups. You're not supposed to even look at somebody because of their color. Isn't that what we're supposed to be not doing? I'm not saying you don't see somebody. I'm not saying there's not differences. I'm saying it's irrelevant. If I talk to somebody, you want to know the person. Maybe you're attracted to them physically, but what does that have to do with anything? If you can work the job, if you have honor, if you have favorite character, if you're a decent person, if you can have a conversation, if you're somebody that's reliable, all right? That's what we look at. I'm not saying you don't see the person's color. Some people like me, I'm white, I'm attracted to black women. I love all women. All women are attracted to me, but I'm more attracted to black women. But it doesn't mean I'm not attracted to other women. And it doesn't mean it has anything to do with anything. Okay? And for most people, they just don't think like that. People fall in love with a person. People talk to a person. People hire a person. And to me, the people, mostly, I guess you could say that are liberals or on the left, or I would just not even divide people, but just certain people think certain ways. A lot of people are so used to watching TV and the internet and the Holly weirdos and the nightly news and what they're indoctrinated with in the schools. And they're so used to this idea that if you talk about white people, it must be you mean that you think you're superior. Or if you talk about black people or Hispanics, but we're not talking about white people or blacks or Hispanics. The only reason he said white people are not getting a certain vaccine and they're being discriminated against because they're white is because they're being discriminated against because they're white. They're the ones that brought up the color and said if you're a certain color, you can't get it. To us, that doesn't sound right because you're not supposed to discriminate against anybody. Okay, to us, the color has nothing to do with anything. It's needs based. If you're an older person or if you're at high risk, you're supposed to get the vaccine first if there's a limitation, because younger people have a better immune system. It doesn't have anything to do with color, so why are you bringing color into it? That's what we're mad about. It doesn't mean that, oh, I'm white and I'm bringing up white people and that make me other people that are different colors insensitive, because we don't feel like people think about things based on color. Now, some people do, but conservatives don't. And it's hard for people who do to understand, because they make everything about color and everything's about feeling. And it's hard to imagine that another person might not think that way. So that's what came to me, and I believe that's the case.